I'm Adam Calaway. I'm at Cattle Chat Corner at NCBA 2014 in Nashville, Tennessee. I have the pleasure of being joined by Dr. Dallas Horton. Dr. Horton, tell me a little bit about yourself and your operation.
Well, I was raised in Montana on a cow-calf ranch by Miles City, the bucking horse capital of the world. From high school, I went and served my country in the service, and following that, I went to veterinary school. Following that, I practiced a year in Calgary, Canada, and then internships about the time I got out. Medical doctors have had for a long time, and they just started them for veterinarians. I was the second intern at Colorado State University, where I got a master's degree in nutrition. So I tell people I haven't been educated beyond my intelligence once, but twice.
Well, now tell me a little bit about your operation as well.
Yeah, well, following that, I was always production-oriented in my veterinary work. It was all consultation, preventative medicine, and I've always had a passion for the cattle industry, so I guess I've owned about all the segments. I've had a purebred operation. I owned Leachman cattle for about 10 years.
So you've seen the industry then from many, many different perspectives, certainly from a producer perspective and from a medical as a vet perspective. Animal welfare is always one of the most important topics we discuss. Can you take sort of a broad view and look at the agricultural industry as a whole and tell me what you think about our animal welfare practices?
I think they're really good. As you know, in the past, we've had the exception. There's always one, unfortunately, and of course, unfortunately, then the hidden camera shows up on that farm, and that's a horrible example for our industry, but that's a tenth of 1%, if it's that much. Our people are very conscious, realizing that animal welfare is an issue, and that if we don't handle it right, it can hurt our demand for beef, and rightfully so. But I'm very proud of all segments of our industry. I've been in them as a producer. I've been in them as a consultant to them as a veterinarian, and they've made a lot of progress since. You know, they think back, well, we have these cattle locked up in a feedlot. They're pinned up. Well, we feed those cornflakes, steamed cornflakes, most of them every morning. They're well fed. They're well taken care of. Think about back when Charlie Russell made all these pictures in the 1800s, painted these pictures. One of them was the last of the 5,000. That was 5,000 head of cattle starved to death in a big blizzard, up in the west, and that was because they weren't being taken care of. Yeah, they were free and open on the range, but they weren't taking care of anything like we do now.
Take it from a veterinary perspective and tell maybe the consumers, what are the things that we do to take care of our animals in the animal health arena, animal welfare arena? What are some of the steps that producers take every year?
For animal welfare? Yeah. Well, the main thing is making sure the cattle are fed, doctored, caught early, get an early diagnosis, get the right treatments into them, make sure that treatment is something that won't cause a residue in the meat. But it's basically just good general livestock, and that's have a good balanced nutrition program, a good animal health program, a good genetic program, and they focus on all of this. Cattle business is a tough business. The ones that are left, they're the smart ones that worked hard and they work smart.
Why don't we talk, you mentioned residue in meat, which always brings up the conversation about antibiotics. From your professional experience and education and training, is this something that consumers should ever be concerned about when it comes to residue in meat from antibiotics?
Well, I suppose everybody's got a right to be concerned about something, but I can tell them, and from a professional viewpoint as a veterinarian that's involved with the veterinarians in these packing houses, all these places that harvest the cattle, they have licensed veterinarians that inspect all this meat. All of our meat in America is USDA inspected. It's, the Department of Government. It's not it's a third-party neutral that does this. And they pull samples and they test them for residues. And I'm proud to say we have, to this date, unless something happened here in the last week, I don't know of ever having a residue in beef cattle. I mean, and there shouldn't be, because if there is, we're going to catch it. I would say the consumer, this meat is first of all, the producer is very careful about his withdrawal time before he sends anything for harvest. And if he isn't careful, he's going to get caught, because they thoroughly inspect every individual carcass is inspected by a USDA veterinarian, and then they pull samples and check them for residue.
One of the other topics that we've been discussing on Cattle Chat Corner here at NCBA this year is sustainability. It's one of the things that we discuss and has come up in the mainstream. Tell me, what are you doing on your operations to be sustainable?
Well, it's sustainable means you stay alive in the business, and that takes it's multi-talent. I'll guarantee you it's a lot more than veterinary medicine. And it's watching the financial end of your business, having goals and objectives, and if you're not meeting them, change things so you are meeting those goals and objectives, and be prepared for the disasters that we are unfortunately we're exposed to in the business of the cattle, because it's we're outdoors. So we have terrible blizzards, we have terrible droughts, we have hurricanes and tornadoes, and so you've got to be thinking about, what am I going to do if my ranch gets hit by a big drought? So you got to always be thinking ahead, planning, having goals and objectives, and if you're not meeting them, change management so you do meet them.
Last question is one we've been asking everybody. It's the same question. If you could tell the consumers of the United States one thing, just one thing about the industry, what would you say to them?
I would say to them that beef is safe. I've already covered that point with you. Don't worry about it. Beef is a very safe, and I think pork and poultry is too. They're all inspected. So food is safe, number one. Number two, it's nutritious. We've taken the excess fat out of our cattle. We have leaner cattle now that have less calories, less cholesterol. And the nice thing about it, it's affordable compared to the rest of the world. Food is still the cheapest place per capita of anywhere in the world is the United States of America. And last but not least, I will say beef is different than pork and poultry, and that's it's more delicious. It's when you want to go out and celebrate for the evening, it's pretty common. You'll go somewhere where there's a great steakhouse and have a fine steak, and it's nutritious, it's healthy, and it's safe.
Dr. Dallas Horton, thank you for stopping by Cattle Chat Corner.